Hello everybody, MegaZardX here, back at it again to give you another very exciting video. And for today's topic, I wanted to go through and talk about the all digital future. Because whether you be playing on Nintendo, Sony, or even Microsoft, most console people are going to be playing on one of those platforms. Yes, even the PC side of things too. But no matter which platform you're playing on, whether it be physical or digital media, there's been a general tendency of where we've been kind of getting more of our games, more of our DLCs and all that stuff on. Yes, I'm talking about digital content, games that you actually download directly onto your console without having to go to one of your major retail stores and being able to pick it up like that, or stream it to your actual device, or have a subscription-based service or anything like that though. So in today's video, I just wanted to go through and talk about that all digital future. Just kind of bring some more awareness to you know where our tendencies are having to actually be going, because I know some people are all for digital. It's just super convenient for those people, and more power to you though. But the people that actually like to have physical game medias and stuff of that nature though, I mean, yes, it could be a very daunting future, something that might actually push you away from the gaming industry, or something that's just going to be hard to adapt to. So I just want to kind of bring a little bit of awareness to both and just kind of see where we're currently at in 2023 in terms of the digital all future that inevitably we're probably all going to be heading to. But if you haven't already done so, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into this video. Alright, so to give us a little bit of a perspective in terms of how many things that people are kind of buying digital versus physical nowadays, let's go ahead and pull up some statistics. And I got some stuff especially for the Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft side of things though. So let's go ahead and bring up some statistics from Nintendo side of things. So apparently digital sales accounted for 46% of all software sold so far in the 2023 fiscal year. Surprisingly, even in the UK, it was nearly reported that digital sales accounted for nearly 90% of all video game sales in the biggest gaming market in Europe. Now that right there in a nutshell is absolutely crazy. The fact that we're almost to a 50-50 ratio for Nintendo games in terms of them actually being bought digitally versus physical, that's crazy. And if you were to look at any one of the three major platforms, Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft, Nintendo definitely is the one where you still got a passionate fan base that really likes to have most of their games physical. I mean, me personally, myself, the big brands I really care about, like my Marios, my Legend of Zeldas, my Xenoblades, or stuff like that, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, I usually prefer getting those games physically just so I know I can have them, like to stick them up there on my collection on my shelf, just to know, hey, in the future, no matter what, I can always go back, play that game. Not like I'm the one that kind of sell games though, but if at that point ever hit in the future, you can always make your monies back, especially since Nintendo games usually go up in value across the years. Like how you looked at some of those GameCube games like Path of Radiance, I got that one on my shelf like, whoa, shoot. But it's just crazy to think that a lot of people are tending to actually kind of shift towards the digital future, because the fact that it is 50-50, who knows? I don't think within like the next console like the Nintendo Switch 2 or anything like that, where we might be like in the same similar situation like PlayStation and Xbox, how they have like a physical and a digital console. I don't think we necessarily get that with the Switch 2, but who knows, 2 generations from now, we could be on the doorstep of knocking towards that. Now, one of the main reasons why gaming companies want us to be invested within the digital landscape is primarily just because of money. Think about it. When they sell you a digital copy of the game for like $60, they get primarily most of the cut of the share of that $60. Whereas if you go to a retailer like Best Buy or Walmart or something like that, Amazon, you walk up or buy that thing online and it ships straight to your address or whatnot, they got to pay for the retailer, they get their slice of the pie, and then you lose part of the money with transportation, shipping, cost fees of all of that stuff. So it's really nice and really convenient for them to be able to sell those games to you digitally, and they go about incentivizing different ways for you to be able to do this. Hence, anything that you buy off the Nintendo eShop digitally, they give you gold coins. Literally, if you buy a $60 game, it's basically the equivalent of getting $3 worth of free credit back to you in gold coins. Yes, you got to spend it within a calendar year though, but it is one of the main ways that kind of incentivize you to kind of lean towards digital purchases. They even went a little step further beyond what you being able to buy Nintendo game vouchers if you're part of their online subscription-based service, where you literally can buy a set of vouchers and you can be able to redeem like two $60 games for like essentially the MSRP value, as if like you were buying both of them for 50 bucks, because buying the vouchers together, it's like $100, but if you redeem two $60 game values, you're actually saving yourself $20. So that's just a couple of ways Nintendo manages to actually try to incentivize people to actually lean towards that digital side of things, because in the end, they're pulling more revenue off of it versus them selling you a physical copy though. So it's kind of interesting seeing the different strategies and stuff of how these different companies are trying to make you lean towards an all digital future. So now that we talked about Nintendo, let's go ahead and talk about Sony's statistics here real quick. In the fourth fiscal quarter of 2023, approximately 70% of Sony Corporation's PlayStation gaming sales were generated via digital downloads. That's a whooping hopping 70%. Now, I think there's a little things that actually contribute more to more digital sales on the PlayStation side of things versus like something like Nintendo, because this is the super annoying thing with PlayStation. Even though you have a disc and you can stick it in the console, you would think it will read off the disc itself. No, you got to actually download and install it locally to the hard or that solid state drive now to your actual PlayStation 5 system. That way it can read it and then have some higher processing speed, so that way you're able to play the games a little bit faster or whatnot. Have to not rely off of reading off of the disc directly though. And I think basically it's the same equivalent as you buying physical medias and downloading that stuff to the actual copy and having it installed from the disc. The same way how you actually go through and download games directly off the internet straight to the thing. The difference, or slash the in-game, is all the same. So I think that's the reason why more people are actually buying more games digitally versus physically. I don't know if that was strategically a business decision to kind of help people lean more towards that digital future though, but Sony is basically almost there. And one of the ways how they incentivize, people to kind of lean towards that is, yes, this was the first generation that had a PS5 hardware side with a disc version, as well as a digital all PS5. And the big incentive is, disc version $500, the digital version $400. So that's the way how they kind of incentivize you to kind of lean towards an all digital future. And honestly, who knows? The very next console, whatever the PS6 happens to be, it might be all digital for all we know. Who knows at that point though? But yeah, and there's another reason why they kind of help incentivize you to kind of lean towards that is, unlike, Nintendo, because Nintendo does some sales. They do it like on the quarterly or whatnot though, like, your summer sale, maybe your holiday sale, Black Friday, spring sale, whatnot though. Sony, more likely than not, always has some sales continuously going. They always have their Days of Play event that usually happens during the summer as well. They have sales almost going on constantly. And usually, even within the first year of a big major first party game releasing, they tend to kind of drop the price of those, especially around Black Friday, whereas a Nintendo game can kind of hold its value a little bit more so. So you're kind of incentivized to buy that digital copy because it could be a little bit cheaper. And then lastly, one of the other ways that kind of incentivize this is via, PlayStation Plus. If you do happen to have that subscription-based service, which I'll talk about subscription-based stuff a little bit later on though, but if you do happen to have that subscription-based service, you can actually manage to have even more sales on top of just someone that's kind of outside of that subscription-based services though. So, we saw the way how Nintendo kind of handles some things, and Sony kind of took, an extra step further in terms of trying to get people used to being involved within the digital service though. But let's go ahead and jump over to the last one, being Xbox, because their scenario right there is really unique, at least with their ecosystem. So for Xbox, I couldn't find an exact answer of their digital media versus their physical media consumed. However, one major thing that they do rely on a lot is Xbox Game Pass, because I can't say, at least from the people I kind of notice online or the people I talk to, most people that typically own an Xbox typically like to have Xbox Game Pass with it. There's not a lot of people that actually go around and actually, try to collect a whole bunch of Xbox games physically. Yes, you might have some people going out there and getting like your Halo games or your Forza games, games that really speak to them, that they might be like a diehard Series fan for. But outside of that, most people just get Game Pass. It's like $10 a month-ish. I know they've been kind of raising the price up a little bit though, and especially since, you know, a lot of people might be buying into Game Pass Ultimate, which kind of gives you a lot more options of where you might be able to play those games. So it's just kind of getting people accustomed to, hey, you don't have to necessarily own a console. Shoot, you can even be doing it off of these TVs, because I think there's even been some reports of some Samsung TVs that actually have Game Pass installed in the system itself, or in the TV itself, should I say. So all you got to do is literally just like sign into your account, and then bling bada boom, Bluetooth controller straight to the TV, and you're on and popping at that point though. So Xbox already, I think out of between the three, they're definitely the huge component of saying, hey, we don't care where you play this stuff off of PC, which PC people are already accustomed to all digital stuff anyway. Whether you're playing off a PC, console, shoot, you can even have your old Xbox One, you know, the last generation system, run through xCloud, which that's been something they've really been working on as well. And you can have your games directly streamed to your actual games. You know, there's just a lot of different ways how they kind of got you accustomed to this digital interface, and where it's like, hey, you can have this subscription-based service and have all these games available to you, or you can buy these games $60 or now $70 a pop though. So people have been kind of leaning closer to that way. So that's been the way how Xbox been kind of handling their digital storefront and their digital push on all digital future. So with an all digital future, yes, inevitably that led to a whole bunch of subscription-based services, because even with Nintendo, which we honestly never thought they would actually have a subscription-based service. Obviously, within the Nintendo Switch era, they started up the Nintendo Switch Online, which by the time the Switch 2 comes out, if they do call it a Switch or they call it something else, they might just call it Nintendo Online though. But yeah, they got us accustomed to a subscription-based service, $20 a year roughly, and you're able to play NES games, Super Nintendo games, Game Boy, the list kind of goes on, and they have like split between like just the basic tier and the plus expansion pack tier, where you're actually able to have like Nintendo 64 games and Sega Genesis games up in there and GBA games. So, you know, Nintendo has been kind of scooping up in there and kind of getting you more accustomed to it on all digital future via, you know, the retro gaming catalog, because the easiest and best way to play retro games is literally digitally, where people have been going out there and emulating them, or they've been offered through subscription-based services. This is just Nintendo's official way to actually go through and play some of their classic games right there. So that's how they're kind of tuning and kind of getting you a little bit more attached within this all digital future as well. And then you go over here and look over here on the PlayStation side of things. Yes, they had PlayStation Plus, which honestly got rebranded over the past couple of few years, because it used to be like PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now, and they merged those together. So now we have the Essentials, the Extra, and the Premium tier at the moment right now though, and they all kind of offer different and unique little things though, but they are getting you accustomed to where even within the PlayStation Extra and Premium tier, they got you accustomed to where within a year or two after the launch of their major first party games like your Horizon Forbidden West and your Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, within a year or two, they're actually dropping that stuff out on the subscription-based service as well. So, you know, as long as you're subscribing and digitally downloading these games and playing them on your system and stuff like that, they getting you cooking. They get you on and popping over there within that digital ecosystem. So it's just kind of another way to kind of get you kind of accustomed to that. And then before you know it, your libraries can actually start to build up. Like, oh, this was convenient. I don't have to necessarily run out to the retailer and buy a game like that, and, you know, spend that money in terms of like your gas miles just going to and fro, where you can just directly download that game straight to your console and play it from wherever you want. And they're even dabbling with a little bit of stuff with some streaming stuff as well. Like, you're even able to stream PS3 games straight to your console. Now, whether or not the streaming stuff is actually really good, you know, that's, you know, a whole nother video topic for another day though, but the option is there regardless. And then lastly, everybody and their mama knows about Game Pass. It's arguably one of the best values in gaming, and they even did a little bit of modifying and stuff here recently. Like, they have like a core option which has like a list of like 20 plus certain games that you're actually able to download and have direct access to have that. And then obviously you have your console version, your PC version, and Game Pass Ultimate, which has a little bit of everything, PC, console, as well as you being able to actually stream all your stuff via the xCloud straight onto your devices like your phone and whatnot though. So that's the way how Xbox has been kind of handling their subscription-based services though. So between digitally downloading these games, you know, just individual purchases, and then also getting you within their subscription-based service, because I feel like everything now, even your media things like your Netflixes and Disney Plus, everything's about going subscription-based as well though. But between the combinations of both these two, they've been really raking people in, at least with the digital side of things though. But then all of that stuff kind of leads into a big major focal point I really want to stress upon, is streaming games. And I'm not talking about some YouTuber just streaming some games straight to, no. You streaming the games directly off of these companies' servers straight to your console yourself. Because I truly believe that in the future, instead of us having physical games, some digital games, and a few select amount of streaming games in this all digital future, I think you'd be lucky at best to have some games you technically own, but it's not tangible. Digital games is at the bare minimum, and then you have stream games that go straight to you that kind of avoid the downloading and installing times and all of that. That's the modern conveniences though, but it will be a really strange world we will be living in at that point. Because even now with the PlayStation side of things, they do allow you to stream PS3 games straight to your console, you know, if you happen to be in one of their subscription tiers, as well as they do have a brand new Project Q that is in the distant horizon, and it's actually coming out here fairly soon within this year though. So yeah, they already got people already accustomed to be able to stream things. Even with that Project Q, you're going to be able to have some kind of connection with your account, be able to stream things directly from it straight to your console itself. So it's like, you know, they're already getting people really accustomed to streaming things. The one thing I don't like about streaming games is it all is dependent on how strong your Wi-Fi speeds are. And you know, you have people living in rural and urban areas, and some people in those rural areas don't really have that strong Wi-Fi, like a Wi-Fi 6 or anything like that. So for a lot of people, you know, this is not a viable future for them, at least with the infrastructure we have right now. Yes, other countries such as like Japan and stuff might have better infrastructures though, but at least here in America, you might have some people that have some good, strong, you know, gigabit connections and stuff like that. And you have some other people that have some really slow connections, like my boy over there, Hats. Oh shoot, man, his internet speeds are so low. Man, I'm sorry for that man though. But your mileage may vary. And in the future, for all digital future, it would kind of suck because maybe you're caught in an area where you don't really have like internet access or whatnot though. And you're always running around with these devices kind of similar to like your mobile phones. You have to have a constant internet connection. It'd be kind of weird because if you're taking road trips and stuff, you know, spotty in connections, you might go through a tunnel or something like that. It's just kind of weird where the future of gaming could be going if all of our stuff primarily or predominantly is actually running off of some streaming technology. So it is kind of something to kind of keep in mind, because you know, not only Sony's already invested in it though, but surprisingly Nintendo is, not necessarily first party wise, but third party wise. There's a whole slew of companies that have already dropped out some streamable versions of some games. I'll go ahead and run through like a quick little list I got right now real quick though. So for example, like almost all of Kingdom Hearts, like Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5, the 2.8, as well as Kingdom Hearts 3, all of those games are actually streamable right now. Yeah, like Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 7, you have the Guardians of the Galaxy game, etc. The list kind of goes on and on and on. Man, I could go on a whole nother tangent because some of those games like Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5, you could have made native versions for those games and put that mess over there on the Nintendo Switch. There's no need to have those games be streamable. I can understand it for Kingdom Hearts 3 based upon, you know, the game I actually played for on my PS5. I can understand Kingdom Hearts 3, but 1.5 and 2.5, like, come on now, that could be laziness, and that could be a whole nother topic for another video though. But yeah, you got games like that, the Resident Evils and stuff like that, and then Guardians of the Galaxy. Companies are already dabbling into that because, you know, why go through all of the hoop-ha and hassle making these physical forms of media for people to actually go out and buy, versus we can just put this stuff on the server, you can give us money, and we can actually let you play these games off of our server, which probably will take a little bit of maintenance, not too much from us, to be able to distribute that to basically everybody. And then whenever we feel like it, because the game's not technically yours because it's not an actual digital copy, we can just pull the plug and we already got your money. So it ain't no skin off of our backs. That's the part of the all digital future that I'm kind of weary or a little bit dreadful of. And you know, that kind of brings us to like some of our major points by the time we hit this end of the video is, you know, where could we actually be going with this all digital future, whether it's going to be really good or whether it's going to be really bad. Because, you know, before we jump in that, let's go ahead and talk about the Xbox side of things as that one last point. So we do already know that Xbox games can be streamed via, you know, Xbox Ones, which is kind of crazy. The fact that you're actually able to use that older hardware just to be able to stream things like via xCloud straight to that. Obviously, people that are already playing on PC are kind of already accustomed to that. You can do it via mobile devices as well as like TVs and stuff like that. Like, you know, they already got you in that streamable service right now though. And Game Pass, you know, you can actually digitally download games, but there also is the option for the Game Pass Ultimate side of things to actually be able to stream games to you directly as well. So at the end of the day, what are the pros and what are some of the cons for, you know, this all digital future? Let's start off with those cons, because like what I mentioned earlier, they can actually pull the plug. They can delist these things off the shop whenever they feel like it. And because you don't have a physical, tangible version of these games, you know, they can be lost to the sands of time. And yes, I know some crazy things with copyright are probably more of the reasons why some of these things get taken down, or more interestingly enough, maybe these game companies several years in the future want to make a remake of a certain game. You have an old game and a remake there. That kind of incentivizes people to be like, you know what? Maybe I'll just get the old game instead because it's cheaper, it's on sale all the time, yada, yada, yada. Maybe the gaming companies, especially from the business side perspective, are like, let's not go through that. Let's just only make you buy the new version only. And there could be, you know, reasons why people might want to still play the classic version as well as the brand new version. But business side perspective, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I think that's one of the major harms for this all digital future, is the fact that you don't purely own these games. You're still at the mercy of, you know, these gaming companies whenever they can pull the plug whenever. Because even recently we had the Nintendo eShop closure for the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U eShop shut down. Yes, you can still go back and re-download some of those games, but at least for the storefronts, you know, they're just gone. Imagine if that was the only way you can buy Wii U and 3DS games, not physically, just digitally. And then they shut the eShop down, those digital storefronts, years after the launches of the console. That could be a very scary idea when you actually kind of sit down and really think about it though. So, you know, those kind of few reasons right there can kind of get you a little bit upset on this all digital future, because there could be a game out there like some Fire Emblems and stuff like that. Like, for example, Fire Emblem Fates, that special edition that actually had all three of the, you know, Birthright, Revelation, and Conquest routes. That Revelation one was strictly tied to DLC. There's no legal way, at least, for you to be able to actually play that thing right now. So it's just little things like that. Games can be lost to the sands of time. Now, on the positive side of things, yes, within the digital, all digital future, yes, it is really nice and convenient. If the streaming actually works with your Wi-Fi speeds, you don't have to worry about downloading and installation times for these games and whatnot. That would be really nice and convenient. You won't have to worry about juggling all these different cartridges or disc around, so that way you don't actually happen to lose your physical medias. They're actually all nicely tied into your account. So there could be some nice positive things, and that's some of the reasons why we're seeing a lot of people shift over there to that digital side feature. Because surprisingly enough, there are people out there that own Nintendo Switches and almost have every single one of their games digitally downloaded. I know one person like that. I think one game he might have bought physically was like Breath of the Wild. Everything else he bought basically digitally. Got those like 1 terabyte micro SD cards going on and whatnot though. But there is some credence to having that all digital future actually be a good positive thing. But at least me personally, at the very end of the day, I really don't want there to be an all digital future. Yes, digital is nice, it is convenient. It allows, you know, game developers to be able to drop out game updates on day one via patches. It allows you to get DLC expansion packs and stuff like that. Extra things added to your game that, you know, in times past, in like the N64 era, shoot, when they shipped that cartridge out, that was it. You know, bugs and all, that was just all you're getting right there. So there is some nice convenient things about, you know, the digital side of things though. But I still would love to be in a world where we get to have our physical media as well as our digital. That way, you know, where one has some flaws, the other one can cover up for some of those flaws. So I'm like, that's the future I would really want to see. But unfortunately, and I'm just giving you a little heads up, I truly do believe we're probably going to be heading towards the all digital future, because that's just the way how the gaming industry kind of wants to lean towards. They're all about that money at the end of the day though. But that's pretty much all I want to talk about here in this video, just to kind of give some a little bit of awareness, give some pros and some cons for all this stuff, and just kind of put a little timestamp here of where we're currently at with this tendency of us trending towards an all digital future though. But you gotta let me know down in the comment section down below, what all did you think about everything I basically said in this video? Do you think we're trending towards an all digital future? You think for some oddball reason we ain't gonna head down that route? or you kind of like me and you're hoping that we get to have some kind of combination for the foreseeable future, or at least to the end of your life, so you don't have to put up with whatever the next generation has to put up with, because man, it's gonna be some truly different times though. But that's gonna be basically it for this video though. So if you really like it, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all. All right, is everybody gone? I think so, because I didn't, I got one last little thing to say. This is just on the personal side of things with the YouTube side of things. And, if you're a diehard fan, you can keep watching. If not, you can click off the video. I don't mind though. But something very important has happened, and I do have to say some goodbyes. No, I'm not going anywhere though, but Bane has been my editor almost since the very beginning of this year. I want to say he started roughly around January, and this is his last video that he's actually editing for me today though. So I just want to say thanks, man, for being there, supporting me, get my channel off and going in a new direction that I kind of wanted to make it lean into and whatnot though. And if it weren't for him, man, I mean, he's been editing a good chunk of my videos right there, so hats off to him. He did amazing work right there. If you're still watching this video, drop your accolades down in the comment section down below. Bang, you can throw up your face, whatever you want to pop up, whatever you want to edit this thing in. It doesn't really matter to me though, but I just want to say thank you, man, for all the hard work, man. And man, you're thoroughly gonna be missed. And obviously in terms of my channel and whatnot though, you managed to build a solid foundation, at least for where I want to go. So I just want to say thank you to that. After this, I'm gonna have some new editors kind of rolling up in here, doing some other new stuff. I did want to kind of give my farewell statement over there to Bane though, so thank you so much, man. But that's gonna truly do it for the end of today's video though, so I'll catch you on the next one, y'all. So see y'all.